Well, my name is Mark Mayer. I live in Tucson, Arizona. And, well, what do? I've done a lot of things, but one of the most central things has been to work on the issue of billboards in the Tucson community for the last 30 years. And I was aware that a billboard ordinance had been passed in 1985, and it was pretty important, but I didn't know much in the way of detail at that time. But there was an initiative in 1993 where you had a number of council members, basically, the Tucson City Council were supporting a review to essentially overturn the ordinance. And the billboard industry had their representatives. And one of the roles I played is I got some people involved that were critical in the 1985 ordinance period, who hadn't been involved for quite a number of years, and they were appointed to that committee, as well as some of the members of the Citizen Sign Code Committee. And so this process went on for about a year and a half. It wasn't pretty. The demeanor of the industry representatives was very hostile to the citizens that seemed to have the idea they didn't want billboards in their community. At the same time this was going on, the billboard industry had been running bills in the legislature to overturn the key aspects of the ordinance, particularly the one that would require billboards to be removed when development occurs. So I think the view of the mayor and council was, well, you can't be trying to overturn our ordinances at the same time that we're giving you this opportunity to weaken our ordinance in so many ways. So that aggravated the mayor and council, and so that, of course, was the end of the committee, and then we moved into a whole another phase on billboard enforcement. Well, now the city has prevailed with finality in this litigation, and the billboard companies are supposed to take these billboards down. Where's the list of the billboards they're supposed to take down? All of a sudden, there was no list. It was like, huh? And so, somewhat in collaboration with the attorney's office, they finally got them to produce some kind of list, and it was 10 billboards. I came up with a list of 44. When I started digging into this, what I was finding out, which some other communities nationally have found out, is that the degree of illegality of these billboards is just absolutely shocking. At one point, there were 234 cases in court, and they started in city court. And then there were legislative battles. We won one that nobody could ever thought could have been won up there. The coalition of scenic advocates, neighborhood groups, dark skies people, preventionists, and so forth. That's what forced it from city court into superior court, the formal court system. The court cases started in earnest, and we've gone through and had some of them tried, had some judgments, and finally at that time Clear Channel Outdoor had owned almost all the billboards in Tucson because they'd consolidated a few different companies, and we started settlement negotiations. These settlement agreements were very hard fought because they want to keep their most valuable billboards, no matter how egregious the code violations are. And then they want to be so magnanimous as to say, we're going to take all these billboards down that are the smallest, least valuable, the ones hiding behind a bush and ones falling apart and so forth. And so we did prevail in a principle of code compliance. I would say that this was a successful effort in not having to make any compromises on principle of code compliance, that the billboards with the worst violations all came down, or there's still a few under it. And the one thing we negotiated was time. That's what we said, is that we're not going to play this business deal game, but we can negotiate time, which resulted in Pima County that the final billboard, which came down last year, was actually 17 years. So here's billboards that had serious violations that were allowed to remain. Most of them came down earlier, but as long as 17 years, so they got the extra time with the billboard. And the same thing in the city, where the total time of everything was 15 years, and the last 3 billboards in that batch are coming down this year, 2024. And so I think you would say it would be quite successful in that we didn't have to make compromise on principle. We were able to compromise on time. And the end result is that the most serious violations of both the city and county, all the billboards were removed, or in some cases modified to be lowered in height or moved back further from the street or something like that. And I think a lot of this was learning that you needed to have a junkyard dog approach, where your jaws grab that cuff, the pant leg, and don't let go. And that has been the key to having the measure of success we've had in the community to this date.